Ancient Sumerians were more than familiar with handbags, or perhaps objects that modern people perceive as such.
Graham Hancock is a controversial figure in the world of archaeology and ancient history. A journalist by training, he has long challenged mainstream academic interpretations of humanity's distant past. He is best known for his books such as Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods, which explore the idea that an advanced global civilization existed long before the rise of known ancient cultures such as Sumer, Egypt, and the Indus Valley. Hancock's ideas sit on the fringe of historical theory, often associated with pseudo-archaeology, but they resonate with a broad audience intrigued by the mysteries of ancient human knowledge, architecture, and symbolism. Among the many fascinating components of Hancock's worldview are his interpretations of recurring motifs in ancient art and architecture, one of the most curious being the ubiquitous depiction of ancient handbags. He has also flirted with the idea of time travel, not in the mechanical sense popularized by science fiction, but in a more metaphorical, even psychedelic context, where altered states of consciousness and temporal dislocation may play a role in transmitting ancient knowledge across millennia. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The so-called ancient handbag motif is one of the more compelling pieces of symbolic evidence Hancock and other alternative historians use to support their claims of a lost advanced civilization. These handbags appear in carvings and art from widely scattered ancient civilizations, including the Sumerians in Mesopotamia, the Olmecs in Mesoamerica, and the Göbekli Tepe culture in modern-day Turkey. The imagery is almost uncannily similar across these regions. A humanoid or divine figure clutching what appears to be a rectangular or rounded object with a handle, often held with precision and presented almost as a sacred or ritualistic object. To the untrained eye, the object indeed looks like a handbag or a small bucket. The repeated presence of this motif across disconnected ancient cultures, separated by oceans and vast spans of time, raises a number of questions. For Hancock, such parallels are not coincidental, but indicative of a shared cultural memory or influence that must have come from a common source. Mainstream archaeology generally dismisses the significance of these handbags, arguing they are symbolic containers for ritual substances, water, or seeds, depending on the context in which they appear. However, Hancock sees something deeper and more profound in these repeated motifs. He suggests that these symbols might represent a kind of cultural memory, passed down from a forgotten high civilization that existed prior to the Younger Dryas period, roughly 12,000 years ago, when a cataclysm, possibly a comet impact, allegedly wiped out this sophisticated global culture. In Hancock's view, the surviving members of this civilization, sometimes referred to as the magicians of the gods, may have traveled to various parts of the world, disseminating knowledge of agriculture, astronomy, and sacred geometry, leaving behind symbols, like the handbag, as signatures of their influence. The idea of time travel in Hancock's framework doesn't involve time machines in the conventional sense. Rather, it's about temporal displacement through altered states of consciousness. He posits that shamans and sages across ancient cultures may have accessed information from other times or realities through the use of psychotropic substances. Hancock's deep interest in ayahuasca and other entheogens as tools for consciousness expansion ties directly into this idea. His personal experiences with these substances, detailed in works like Supernatural, Meetings with the Ancient Teachers of Mankind, offer a narrative in which individuals can transcend linear time and access realms of knowledge that are not bounded by chronological constraints. These experiences, often dismissed by traditional academia as hallucinations, are considered by Hancock to be genuine interactions with other dimensions or intelligences, possibly including those that existed in long-lost epochs of human history. Combining these threads, Hancock proposes that ancient knowledge, symbolized by motifs like the handbag, could have been transmitted across time through ritualistic or altered states of consciousness. In this model, time is not a fixed linear stream, but a malleable continuum that can be navigated through the right techniques, rituals, or substances. Ancient temples, carvings, and ceremonies might have served not only religious or cultural purposes, but also functioned as portals through which time and space could be spiritually traversed. The implications of this idea are immense. If true, it suggests that our ancestors may have had access to a form of time perception that modern science is only beginning to explore through quantum theory and consciousness studies. Hancock also draws attention to the ancient site of Göbekli Tepe, often considered the world's oldest known megalithic structure. Built around 9600 BCE, thousands of years before Stonehenge or the pyramids, it defies conventional archaeological understanding. The site features enormous stone pillars arranged in circles, many of them decorated with intricate carvings of animals and abstract symbols, including the handbag motif. For Hancock, Göbekli Tepe is not just a temple, it is a repository of encoded knowledge, constructed by the survivors of a previous age of human greatness. He believes that the builders of Göbekli Tepe were either remnants of the lost civilization or deeply influenced by them, and that the knowledge required to create such a structure suggests a level of sophistication far beyond what is credited to hunter-gatherer societies of the time. What makes the handbag motif particularly intriguing is not just its widespread presence, but its consistent iconography. Whether in ancient Mesopotamia, depicted in the hands of the Apkallu mythical sages often associated with divine knowledge, or in Mesoamerican stelae showing gods or shamans with similar containers, the motif is almost identical. This begs the question, how could cultures with no known contact depict the same mysterious object? Hancock argues that either there was a forgotten ancient global seafaring civilization that transmitted this symbolism, or these societies tapped into the same source of knowledge through altered states. Again, returning to the concept of time and knowledge being accessible in non-linear ways. The symbolic handbag then becomes more than just an artifact. It becomes a cipher, a key to understanding a deeper metaphysical reality. In some interpretations, the bag might represent the container of life-giving forces or sacred substances. In others, it might be seen as a portable repository of knowledge, akin to a modern briefcase holding documents of importance. The possibility that it signifies a type of technological artifact, something akin to a battery, data storage device, or even a means of communication, has also been suggested in more speculative circles, although Hancock tends to focus more on spiritual and symbolic meanings rather than technological literalism. Time travel, as Hancock presents it, is ultimately about the movement of knowledge across the boundaries of time and consciousness. His view aligns more closely with indigenous spiritual systems than with Einsteinian physics. Many tribal cultures speak of ancestors who existed in a dream time or spirit world, who could communicate across generations through dreams, visions, and rituals. These accounts are typically dismissed in modern Western thinking as myth or metaphor, but Hancock treats them with earnest respect, seeing in them the vestiges of a deeper understanding of time and reality. There is also the tantalizing idea that certain monuments and texts from the ancient world were created not just to record history or glorify rulers, but to anchor knowledge in time, to preserve it against the tides of destruction. If a civilization knew that a cataclysm was imminent, they might have gone to extraordinary lengths to encode their wisdom into symbolic forms that could withstand the erosion of millennia. The handbag motif may be one such code, a signal waiting to be deciphered. Hancock's critics often argue that he cherry-picks data, ignores contrary evidence, and constructs narratives that are more science fiction than science. But his appeal lies not in academic rigor, but in the power of story and the daring to question orthodoxy. His work invites readers to look again at the relics of the past, to ask whether we truly understand the capabilities and consciousness of our ancestors. While mainstream historians view ancient peoples as primitive and bound by superstition, Hancock sees them as profoundly aware, attuned to the cosmos, and capable of perceiving aspects of reality that modern minds have forgotten. In this context, time travel isn't about stepping into a machine. It's about stepping into a different state of mind. It's about recognizing that the linear march from past to present to future may be an illusion created by our limited sensory apparatus. Through meditation, ritual, or psychedelic experience, ancient peoples may have transcended this illusion, accessing knowledge from the past or future. In that sense, a stone carving of a handbag might be more than just a religious symbol. It might be a communication across time, a signal from an age we barely remember, trying to remind us of what we've lost. Despite the skepticism surrounding his theories, Hancock's work performs a vital function. It encourages a broader perspective on history and consciousness. The convergence of symbols like the ancient handbag across distant civilizations demands explanation. And while mainstream archaeology may offer one set of answers, Hancock's interpretations open doors to questions that are just as important. What if the ancient world was more connected than we realize? What if consciousness is the true vehicle of time travel? And what if humanity's distant past holds secrets that could reshape not only how we understand history, but also who we are? If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Graham Hancock's theory? Could ancient handbags link to time travel? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.